Alright, part 3 of this video series of me talking about my life, especially involving my therianthropy and furriness. And we're in a new location, a place where we should get as distracted, apart from annoying crows cawing and people coughing really loud and scaring the bejesus out of me, because I didn't even know there was anybody there, and then suddenly a cough happened. So yeah, hopefully we'll get as distracted here and you can see all of me on my cool outfit. And once I finish doing this, I am going to do a video of me walking on all fours, because I was saying in my first video that I made in the series that I discovered a video where I said I can't do quadrupedalism, and I think that was to do with my hip. That every time I walked on all fours, my hip hurt. But that's not happening this year. My hip isn't as bad as last year. And I discovered that the reason why my hip was really bad last year, because the shoes I was wearing were raised. And every time I wear raised shoes, not heel shoes, but raised shoes, and heel shoes, anything raised, heel or the whole foot, apparently that hurts my hip. All this time when I wore those shoes, it actually hurt my knee, which is strange. Now that's gone. It was like a pain here and here. Painful. That's gone now since I've been mainly wearing these shoes. So it wasn't the walking on all fours, that just didn't help. So it was the walking on all fours, but mainly the shoes. The two together didn't help. It just aggravated, the walking on all fours aggravated. So I can still do that. I did it last night for ages and I'm fine today. I feel fine. I even practiced my jumping on all fours. Mainly on the bed, because I land hard. And I can't land on my hands first. I always land on my feet first. So I thought I'd practice on the bed to do hands first. I don't know why, but I've always been too scared to land on my hands first. So I automatically just fear and just end up going like that. So I was practicing on the bed for ages. Real workout too, I got hot and sweaty. So yeah, that was a workout. I actually went upstairs specifically to just walk on all fours, then work out. That was going to be my warming up period, walking on all fours and running on all fours. But I ended up just doing that the whole time and just doing a little bit of working out. And the walking and running on all fours was the main workout for me. It was lots of fun. I had great fun. But then of course my mum had to spoil it by when I came downstairs to cook, she yelled at me for stuff. So that is part of what I'm going to talk about today regarding my life. What's happened over the last few years, which has been horrible. So like I say, happy childhood till grandma died at 10. Then I immersed myself in a fantasy world which I created. I, for the first time, created a character and was that character permanently. So when I was a kid, so pre-10, pre-being 10 years old, I used to pretend to be characters all the time. But I never lived those characters. I really wanted to be someone other than me, but it was just pretend and it was just for fun, you know, fun and games. But like I say, post 10, when I was about 12, maybe even before 12, I created a character for myself and decided to be that character permanently, live as that character. But remember, I was in no way delusional. I did not really think I was that character. I didn't really believe that I was that character. Except to a healthy degree, of course. But my mum, she figured, I guess, that I was delusional and I couldn't tell the difference between fantasy and reality, and that I didn't know that I was not really a male, and that I didn't know that my picture friends weren't real. And she used to constantly remind me of this, and she didn't have to, because I wasn't delusional. It's just that I enjoyed being this character. I enjoyed my fantasy world, and at that time I had no friends at all by then. So my cousin stopped coming as much. He used to come all the time. He stopped coming as much. So I was pretty lonely and kind of depressed. So I created this fantasy life as something, because everything else that I enjoyed had stopped. Me and my mum stopped going out as much to fun places. She just wanted to go to Staley Bridge every week, which to me was boring as hell. Boring place it was. That's all my mum wanted to do. We stopped horse riding, we stopped going swimming, we stopped going to the climbing frame place, we stopped going to parks, the lake, you know, we stopped going to fun places. So my life was boring. It was just here at the house all the time, or Staley Bridge. That was it. That was my choice. No grandma to make my life fun and happy. Everything was just shit. And I didn't like me anymore. I felt like a nobody, a nothing. So I created this personality. That I was this character who was an adult male. So somebody in charge. Like as a kid, I didn't feel like I had any control or power. I felt like I was really powerless to do anything about my real life. So I created this character, I suppose, to have some kind of control. And in my fantasy life, I had control over the entire life, the fantasy me, and other people in the fantasy life, as in the picture friend people that I drew. So every time my mum used to try and snap me out of it and say this is not real, so I would get really happy and I would build myself up all happy, and it was great. I was so happy. It was so magical, this fantasy life. This character, I loved being this character so much. I was so happy. So for then people like my mum to come and just like remind me that it's not real really upset me. I mean, do you guys agree with that? Do you agree that was really bad of her? Like, I get some people might think, well, she just wanted to make sure that you weren't delusional, like that you weren't so immersed in this fantasy life that you couldn't differentiate fantasy from reality and separate the two. And I mean, if she just left me, I would have sort of been more involved in reality anyway, because I have now. Since I got older, like I don't know what age I was when I sort of separated more. I was either 16 or 17. Really? One. What was I saying again? Sorry, I think there were squirrels fighting. I could hear them squeaking and all sorts. Funny, that's squeaking noise. I didn't even know they squeaked, but apparently they squeak. Like whistles, like a birdie squeaky whistly thing. Anyway, I didn't know they made that noise. Until I discovered one in the room upstairs. I was like, oh, there's a squirrel in there. I wasn't sure if it was a bird or not, so it was whistling. I'm gonna sneeze. So I began to involve myself more in real life, probably nearer 17, when I started to want real life friends. Because before then I wasn't bothered about having real life friends. The only thing that mattered to me was my fantasy friends, my picture friends, and my fantasy world, and how they thought of me. And they thought I was the bee's knees. They thought I was great. I was wonderful. I was marvelous. I was magnificent. I was the almighty, powerful ruler of the universe. As Eduardo, the big, fat, sexy German Shepherd character. All the girls loved him. He has a wife, he has kids. He was this nice, responsible father figure who was dead intelligent. The best in the world. That made me so happy. And then my mum had to ruin it for me. Instead of just letting me sort of come out of it on my own. Since then I've had loads of other personas. Usually the same character, the one in charge. I did have a couple of characters though where I wasn't a dad. And even a character where I wasn't even in charge. I was actually not in charge. Somebody else was in charge. Yep, I stepped aside and had some other character be the one in charge for once. I was still in charge of my own thing, but I wasn't the main ruler of the universe anymore. At this time, I actually really liked the idea of being a pet. So I ended up being a pet for a character instead. And then I even created parents for myself and everything, so I wasn't the main one in charge anymore. I actually have a character now, which is my persona. No, not my stereotype, my persona, who is separate. My stereotype is a regular grey wolf. As you can see, I've got my grey ears. I had my grey tail made, so it was especially made for my character because they had a few set ones for sale. A brown one, a black one, a red fox one, and I think a white one for an Arctic fox. So they had like an Arctic fox one of these, but they didn't have a grey one. So I showed it to my mum, so I found it. And I said, I really want this is gorgeous. and she corresponded with the seller. And they gave you the option to have one made if you didn't find one that you know, that you wanted. So they didn't have a grey one, so my mum commissioned this woman to do the just plain grey tail and ears with the white bit underneath. So that's why I got this. Good thing I didn't get the brown one, because guess what? You know, the hooligans, when they saw me, because I uploaded pictures of me in these tail and ears on Facebook, and they were like pretending that they liked it. They said, "Oh, how cute! Oh, look!" Because I was crouching actually. I was like this. It's like, "Oh, she looks like she's having a big furry poo." So people started making fun of it. Some said it looked like a poo. Some said it looked like a giant penis coming out of my arse. It was awful. I can't believe people were saying such horrible things about my tail. Not the ears, actually, just the tail. Does that look anything like a penis or a poo? It looks nothing like. It looks like a tail. And when I told my mum, she was like, "What kind of penises have these people seen, or poos?" So she thought it was ridiculous that they thought it looked like a poo or a penis. But we both agreed they were just deliberately doing it just to be rude and mean and nasty. Like, it's obvious, it looks nothing like any of those things. It looks like a beautiful, big, fluffy, puffy tail. Like I say, what kind of penis goes like that? Or is grey or furry? Same with poo. But if it was the brown one, good God. Stop it, I'm trying to make a video. So anyway. So yeah, basically I wish my mum had just left me alone to enjoy my fantasy world that I would have come to eventually. I've been more involved in real life, like I did. Like I say, at 16 I started to... Well, I got my first friends actually when I was about 14. So between 14 and just before my 17th birthday, I had 2 friends. And I chatted to some of the local kids around here and tried to make friends with them, but they all went nasty, as you guys know. And of course, we had the actual hooligans coming like virtually every day and harassing us between the ages of 12 and 16, but then they kind of died off for a while. But then we got a new lot of hooligans coming and harassing us, including the same ones that used to harass us, with Kyle W and Kirsty S. They got back involved in harassing us again after I started dressing as a wolf after Halloween. And I found I had a connection as a wolf. So I created my first persona as a wolf, which was Dorian, Lord Dorian, who was a purpley blue wolf, who was a snooty, snobbish, very vain, narcissistic character whom I loved. He was like a playboy, bad boy type. But he was kind of prissy and he was kind of gay, a bit gay. But he was bisexual. That was his sexuality, was bisexual. But I also had my therian self when I discovered therians, which is just a grey wolf. And then ever since I was about, I think I was 20, I created a new persona called Jeremiah, who's a golden blonde falcon wolf. So he's like a fantasy character. And I have him still to this day. I love him so much. I've reinvented him twice. He actually looks more like his original look now. When I first created him when I was 20, he looks more like that, but better. Like he looks better, he likes like an updated version. So yeah, so that was that. So very happy, very happy. I still love Dorian actually. Dorian's a great character, but I haven't really used him or thought about him for a long time. But I really do like him. I like his colouring. I might do like an updated version of him. The art I did is really good, but it's a little bit like rubbish compared to like how I could draw now. So I might draw him again, but a better version. Just so I can still honour him and still have him. Yes. So then when I was about 22, my mum discovered she was disabled, as in she was deteriorating ever since I was 15. But she now discovered at 20, that when I was 20, that she couldn't do as much as she used to. So we decided that, seeing as how I was living here with her, I would be her carer. To kill two birds with one stone, me just living here anyway, and I may as well help out, I suppose. And it was ever since then that my life has sort of changed for the worst. So now I still have to deal with hooligans having a go at me. I had like virtually no friends by then apart from Carol, who abandoned us when I was like 20 for a stupid reason. She decided not to be friends with us anymore, particularly my mum. But of course, as a result, she had nothing to do with me either. So that's what happened with that. So for the longest time, I've had no friends. I joined a therian pack when I was about 22, I think. Well, that didn't last long, as I've told you about in one of my last videos. I attended one of the pack meets, which was real fun, but it didn't last long. It was like 1 hour because we missed our train and we couldn't be away from the dog for too long. So it was like a 2-hour train ride there. We had 1 hour there and a 2-hour train ride back. We had no one to look after the dog. So we couldn't be away for much longer than that. That was too much, really. But it was all the way to York, so that's far away, you know, it's a far away journey. But we would have had longer time there if we hadn't missed our first train. But like I say, dog, you know, we couldn't have been not much longer anyway because of the dog. So that's one of the reasons why we could never travel, was because of the dog and not having anybody to look after him. Our cousin used to look after the dog if we went anywhere in the past. But since he's abandoned us, we've had nobody. So that's why we could never go anywhere further afield, where the journey would take longer than the actual being there time. So that's why we've never been able to be anywhere. Of course, then COVID hit, the dog has died, so we've got no dog sort of stopping us from going anywhere. But because of COVID, my mum doesn't want to go anywhere, and of course she won't let me go anywhere on my own because I have to be with her and I have to look after her. So I can't leave her for too long. Again, no one else to take care of her, so it's all me now. So ever since it was 22, I've been her sole carer. We've had no one else to come and look after her. She won't have anybody else come look after her, so even if that's an option, which I do believe it is, like UK Carers UK or something, they would volunteer to help, but my mum doesn't want that, so, you know. So it's just my sole purpose to take care of my mum. So I can't go anywhere or do anything. So I'm very limited as to what I can do. This is why I'm limited these days, and why not everything is possible for me, because I've had dreams, I've had hopes, I've had plans, and I've had to sacrifice them all for my mum. So I do kind of resent it sometimes. I do get really annoyed. So I'm not a saint, you know. I have sacrificed my youth for her. I've given up on a lot of things, and it's not all her, by the way. Some of the things I've wanted to do, it's been other reasons that have stopped me from doing it, but something's always stopped me from doing the things I've wanted to do. Like go to college. I wanted to go to college, but I couldn't do that because they didn't do the courses I wanted at my most local college, because I couldn't go too far. Again, because of being a carer for my mum. So, but she would have been cool with me going to college for like a couple of hours, like at the evenings or whatever, but they didn't do the courses I wanted. The woman told me that the only college that did the courses I wanted to do was further afield, which was Stockport, which is too far away, and also I'd have to spend money to get there, like take a taxi there or whatever. So also money's been a factor. That's been another reason why I've not been able to go anywhere or travel, and that has stopped me from doing a lot of things that I wanted to do, because everything costs money. Either it's the journey that costs money or the actual thing I've wanted that costs money. Like I wanted to get enrolled in dance classes again, that costs money. There was something else I wanted to do as well, that cost money. So everything has costed money, so that's why that has stopped me. So when I was younger, I was able to go to college for free, but then, you know, some time passed, and then I thought, oh, I'm going to be too old now to get the free courses at the college, but then learnt it was actually older than I was at the time, so I really missed out. Anyway, I'm getting kind of sick of doing this now, so I'm going to stop for now. I haven't finished. There's like more of my life that I want to talk about, but what's that? Is that a bird or is someone throwing shit over the fence? Yeah, I want to stop now. I'm kind of sick of doing this now, so I'm going to stop for now. I will be making more videos on this more about my life, like aspects of my life and what's happened over the years. Like, as you know, more harassment is happening now after all these years of it sort of died off, but it still happened throughout the years. We've still gotten harassment. Now it's more like when I go out and I get harassed and heckled, and like today I was passing someone and someone in a car just looked at me and smiled at me and said, "Hi, Wolfie." It's like they've not even seen me wear my wolf gear anymore, but they're still like teasing me about it because they mainly saw me do it like years ago. So although I do dress like this now, they've not actually seen me dress like this, if you will. It's a possibility that they're seeing my videos from my other channel and have worn my wolfie gear in that. So there's a possibility that that's why they still call me that, because they still know that I wear this stuff even if it is on. There. It's a shame. I'd like to move my channel. That's why I've got this one. It's a new channel, and hopefully, more of a safe space where my neighbours aren't seeing. Fingers crossed. I know one of the neighbours has got my art channel, so that's not a safe space anymore because they might have spread it to other people for all I know. Or at least the kid might have done. Like shown people at her school or something. Her friends and shit. Anyway, that's all for now. Stay tuned for another video in the future. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe because it will help my channel grow. Thank you for the 98 subscribers. When I get to 100, I'm going to do like one of those special, milestone sort of videos. I don't really know what to do for a special milestone video, but so give me ideas for that just in case, because I'm getting close to 100 subscribers. That's great. I'm hoping I'll be able to get up to 1,000 subscribers eventually, because then I'll be able to live stream. That would be great. I do live stream on my other channel, so if any of you have my other channel, you can watch me on there, I suppose. Anyway, goodbye for now.